Hello learners, my name is Adnan and welcome back to another session in the SQL interview preparatory course by Data Science. So without wasting any time, let's move to the question. So basically we have two questions today. The first question is find the users who have the highest number of mutual matches. A match is when both users have swiped right on each other. And the question 2 is identify users who have only right swiped on other users. For example, they have swiped right on everyone they encountered and have not swiped left on anyone. Output the user ID and username of these particular users. So without wasting any time, let's move to the steps involved in solving this particular question. First, we will solve the first question. To solve the first question, the first step is the printing of tables. Let's print the table. So to print the table, you know the command, that is select everything from the table name. Now you can see the entire table is in front of us. Learners, there is a note for you all. This question will be solved using only a particular table. There is no separate table for the particular question. So the table contains the columns like swipe ID, user ID, the name of the user, swipe user ID, swipe user name, swipe direction, whether the right or left, or the time of the swipe. Now let's move to the second step in solving this particular question. The second step is we will create three basic CTs. To solve this question, we will create three CTs. Let's discuss those CT. The first CT is right swipes. This CT named right swipes filter the swipes table to only include rows where the swipe direction is right, not left. Okay. Now let's move to the second CT. The second CT is mutual matches. We are creating the CT because to find mutual matches by joining the right swipe CT with itself. It joined on the condition where rs1.userid. This is basically the user who performed the swipes in the first instance. Matches rs2.swiped user ID, the user who had swiped on in the second instance, and rs1.swiped underscore user ID, the user who swiped on in the first instance, matches with the rs2.userid, the user who performed the swipe in the second instance. This ensured that both users have swiped right on each other. Now let's move to the third CT. The third CT is match count. So with the help of this particular CT, which named as match count, this CT will count the number of mutual matches for each user. It grouped by user 1 and contained the occurrence. Labeling this count as mutual matches, this provides the total number of mutual matches for each users. Now, with the help of these three CTs, we can solve this entire question. Now, let's move to the SQL workbench for the practical solution of this question. So now, as we are in our MySQL workbench, let's start writing the query. First of all, we will use the database. We will use write use and the name of the database, which is P. Then we will run this query and let's see if the database is successfully used or not. Yes, we are successfully into the database. Now what we will do, we will start writing the query. First of all, we will print the table, select everything from the table name, which is swipes. Now let's run this table. Wonderful. You can see the entire swipes table is in front of us. Let's remove this and create the first CT. So we have already discussed about the CT. The first CT is right swipe, which will give the details about the user who have swiped right. Now just write the CT. This will be our CT. We write with right swipes as we have selected user ID and the swipe user ID from the table name, which is swipes, which I already informed you. And lastly, we have give the condition. And what is the condition? Swipe direction should be right. Where is the swipe direction? This is the swipe direction. Okay. Now let's move to the second major CT. The second major CT is mutual matches. We have selected the rs1.userid as user1 and then rs1 dot swiped user id as user2, so that we can get the details of mutual matches. From the table rs swipes as rs1, then we have joined right swipes rs2 on the basis of rs1 user id. This is basically a self join. On the table right swipes is equals to rs2 dot swipe user id. This is the common column, and then we have given the second common column, which is rs1 dot swipe user id should be equals to rs2 dot user id, and this particular CT will return the mutual matches. So now lastly we will give the select statement, and our select statement will be user id comma mutual matches from the table name, which is mutual matches, which we have created earlier. Then we will put the last condition, select where the max mutual matches from the matches count. And in this particular way we can solve this entire question. Let's run the query, and you can see the user id 1 have the maximum mutual matches, which is 2. Now, without wasting any time, let's move to the second question. The second question is, identify users who have only right swiped on other users. For example, they have swiped right on everyone they encountered and have not swiped left on anyone. Output the user ID and username of this particular users. So without wasting any time, let's move to the SQL workbench for the practical solution of this particular question. So now, as we are in our MySQL workbench, let's start writing the query. Our query goes like, select everything from the table name, which is swipes. Let's run this query and see the entire table. Wonderful. You can see the entire swipes table is front of you. Now we'll give the condition where user ID, first of all we will remove this asterisk and write user ID, and the name of the user, username, where user ID not in, then what we will do, we will create a subquery. The subquery will goes like, select the user ID, select the user ID from the table name is swipes, where the swipe direction is equals to left, where the swipe direction, wait a minute, is equals to left. Okay, then what we will do, we will use the group by clause, group by above these particular two columns. This question is pretty much simple compared to the first one. Now what we will do, we will run this entire query, and you can see the user ID 2 and the user ID 3 respectively, the names are Priya and Aisha, sorry. These are the answers of this particular second questions. And in this particular way, you can solve these type of particular interview questions. Thank you for joining us today, and until next time, stay connected with DataSense for more amazing content on data.